What was your I'm dating a fucking idiot moment? Story 1.
In college, I dated this guy who was nice, but kind of dumb. And he had some bizarre personal habits around the house, the worst of which was the fact that he only owned one towel and he rarely washed it, like once every couple months. It hung in his bathroom as stiff as sheet metal and as rough as a cat's tongue. So, for Christmas, I bought him 2 more bath towels, a hand towel, and several washcloths. When he opened it, he looked quietly at it for a second, like a goat looking at a new fence, and said, "But I already have a towel." He was genuinely puzzled as to why anyone would own more than one towel since it gets cleaner every time you use it.
Story 2. I had an ex-wife who pretends to be allergic to chocolate, and one year for my birthday we went out to eat with all my friends and family. I offered her some of my coconut shrimp, which she gladly accepted. 4 seconds later, she spat the chewed shrimp onto the table. As loud as she could, she said, "Was that coconut shrimp?" "Yes," I replied. "Coconut? Coconut?" she shouted, and was met with blank stares. "Coconut?" she hollered, trying very hard to embarrass me in front of everyone I know. Once the laughter died down, I asked her if she really thought there was cocoa in coconut. We're divorced now, thankfully. Story 3.
Google had an April Fool's joke one year, where if you lick your phone screen, you can actually taste the object of what's being displayed on the screen. Needless to say, my girlfriend did it several times and said it didn't work.
Story 4.
I got in a big fight with my girlfriend at the time because I saw a bear crossing sign and thought it was worth pointing out. She called me an idiot because there was no way there were possibly bears in Michigan. I reminded her that we were going to the Sleeping Bear Dunes. That made us discuss if there were bears in our hometown. I said yes. She said there couldn't possibly be bears in our hometown, and I'm stupid for thinking that. We got in some ridiculous fight about how she can't date an idiot. A week later, a car accident happened less than a mile from her house where the car hit a bear. I sent her the news article, and that's when another fight started.
Story 5.
After almost 6 months, I finally decided I could introduce him to my extremely judgy friend group. We were sitting at the bar having a great time. My friend whispers, "He's a keeper." I'm thrilled they get along. Not even a minute later, while talking, he states out of nowhere, "Well, the Earth is flat," and says he knows that from YouTube. I sailed the globe in the Navy. My friend is a long-haul pilot, and he just kept referring to YouTube. Thought he was being funny? No, he was serious. I took him home, dropped him off, and never saw him again.
Story 6.
I went on a hike with a girl I was dating to a remote mountain lake. The elevation was about 900 meters. I told her to just bring enough water for the hike up because it was grueling and we could refill at the lake. The lake is a good size, but the actual shore access is tiny. Long story short, she shit in the water at the only access. I told her she tainted the water, and unsuspecting people are going to fill their bottles there. She said, "I don't see the big deal. The tide will take it away." Very awkward 7-hour trip out.
Story 7. The girl I was dating was making nachos and shredding cheese. She cut herself, and blood gets on the cheese and the shredder. As she gets a Band-Aid, I pick up the cheese, and as I am throwing it away, she freaks out, as now I may have AIDS. She is hard freaking out that I just got exposed to AIDS and I needed to get medical attention. After talking, it turns out she thought AIDS was everywhere. Like any blood outside the body could just magically get it. Her stupidity was a relief that night. Story 8.
This one is a bit obscure, but when you go to a hotel to check in, you tell them your full name, or at least your last name, so they can look you up. The guy I was dating at the time and I had booked a hotel somewhere, and we got there. They asked his name. He only gave them his first name, which is generic. They asked, "What's your full name?" He again gave them just his first name. They said, "Sir, we need your full name to look you up." He said, "Yeah, but the reservation is under my name." I had to intervene and tell him they needed his last name because there could be many guests by his first name. I was so shocked this was not common sense to him.
Story 9.
He kept littering. I really hate littering. The day he spit his gum out on the sidewalk of a zoo, I called him out on it. He says, "It will evaporate." I laughed and said, "That's funny, but no, seriously, you should just use the trash can." He gave me a confused look. That's when I realized he was serious. He was so convinced that trash evaporates in the sun, and we had a full-on debate about it. But the real idiot was me, because I stayed with him for 3 years after that.
Story 10.
I was at the supermarket with this girl I'd been seeing for a couple of weeks. We were in the produce section, and she said she wanted to make homemade lemonade, so I went and grabbed some lemons. She told me, "Not these ones, silly. I want to make pink lemonade. We can't use yellow lemons."
Story 11. She said that the temperature in her house never changed, so she couldn't understand why she was always hot or cold. Then I found that she had never taken the packaging off of the digital thermometer, so she was just looking at a sticker that said 72 degrees. Story 12.
I dated a guy for about a month until I found out that he didn't realize that women's breasts made actual milk to feed their babies. He thought breastfeeding was just a way to hold a baby while giving it a bottle. I told him he was an idiot, and he said, with a disgusted sneer, "I didn't know that because I have never known any woman who had or would breastfeed their child." I told him that I had breastfed my son, and he called me a child molester.